Ride is a simcade motorbike racing game created by Italian developer Milestone, and it's their first own IP title that they have created. The developer is largely known for its racing games such as MotoGP, WRC and SBK, and this is their chance to show us what they can really do with no boundaries. The graphics in Ride are okay, and that's about it. I mean, this game wouldn't have looked out of place on last generation consoles, and there's no reason why really Milestone's previous MotoGP titles couldn't have looked like this on the previous consoles. But the thing that did impress me with Ride was the amount of detail that has gone into every bike and the rider levers and equipment. And Milestone are bike enthusiasts, and that shows in the bike models and all the little details on the bike. They've done a really good job at making the bikes as accurate as possible. The sound in Ride is much like the graphics. It's okay. Each bike has its own engine note. You can always tell the difference in a race between the V-twins and the inline fours. The 600s scream and the electric bikes whistle as they should. However, the sound in the game is a bit underwhelming when you compare it to the real life sounds. Also, you can change the exhaust pipes of most bikes, but this doesn't really seem to affect the sound very much. But the most frustrating thing about the sound is the annoying crackling sound which is present on the Xbox One version of the game when the game constantly struggles to keep 30 frames per second in races. As with MotoGP, the sound is realistically muffled in the helmet cam view. If you've played Milestone's MotoGP games, you'll feel at home on Ride as the handling feels very familiar. Milestone, however, have tweaked the physics of the game for the better. The bikes have a nice weighty feel to them, and all the bikes handle differently to each other. Going hard on the front brake will cause the rear wheel to rise off the ground. Accelerating too harshly out of corners will cause the rear to slide. You can feel the front end tuck in, and with all the rider aids off, the bikes are harder to tame but more satisfying when you do. The AI, however, is still as dumb as before and don't offer much in the way of a challenge even on the hardest difficulty setting. For a challenge, head online. 12 people maximum per lobby, with collisions always on and no way to change it, always makes for interesting racing. However, lag can always get in the way of really good racing. Much like MotoGP, lag can ruin a lobby, and some people go online purposely just to crash into other people and just ruin their race. Ride's game modes are split into World Tour, Quick Mode, which is time trial and quick races, and multiplayer. There are loads of options to customise your own rider, including licensed helmets, licensed gloves, licensed boots, and licensed racing suits, as well as street equipment for your rider. So you can always get the style to suit you. One thing that I was really happy about in Ride is the ability to customise your own riding style and make it unique to you. Now, I haven't seen this in a game since Tourist Trophy on the PS2, so I was really happy that they put it in Ride. It just means that not everyone is the same, especially when you're racing online. Everyone will have their own unique riding style. Career mode, or as it's commonly known, World Tour, is split into different categories depending on which bike you choose to use. When you've chosen your category, you get to choose between some subcategories where you get to choose your bike and then the races in that subcategory. Elite trophies are special events in which you unlock when you progress, and they can offer prize bikes for getting gold. The bikes are the stars of the shows. With over 110 bikes perfectly detailed, you'll always find the bike that's right for you. and you can always ride your dream bikes that maybe you haven't been able to own, but you can finally ride them virtually in Ride. And of course, each bike is fully customizable. Some not so much as others, especially when it comes to the pro track bikes. But you can customize things such as engine, brakes, transmission, appearance. You can also invite your friends to a motorcycle club, but this will cause data corruption. Ride had the potential of being one of the best motorbike racing games around, however Milestone's execution didn't quite hit the spot, with the shambles around the release of Ride with it being delayed and Milestone not actually telling its audience until the last minute. Bugs in the game are a joke. You can't even do the championship modes in the World Tour, as this causes data corruption and then it locks you out of World Tour altogether unless you delete all your content. Also, inviting friends to your bike club causes data corruption of World Tour. The frame rate issues and the crackling sounds because of the frame rate issues on the Xbox One game are a nightmare, and it's horrible to play. And there are loads of other bugs in the game, exhaust disappearing, the right bikes not being shown, and it's just a bit of a mess. This is Milestone's first own IP, and they didn't have any time restraints. They could have took their time and polished it really good, but unfortunately towards the end it was rushed, and it does feel like a rushed product. Like I said at the beginning, it does feel like a last gen game as well. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give Ride a 7 out of 10. I would love to give it higher if the bugs get fixed with patches, which I don't think all of them will be. I'll gladly give it higher, but other than that, when it's not being buggy and it works, it's really enjoyable, but those bugs are just too frequent and they do ruin the game.